Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
My guest today is Karena Calhoun. She's a North Carolina native currently doing life with her best friend and husband in Richmond, Virginia for the last 10 years. She's a certified mindset and life coach and leads with a servant's heart. She guides women entrepreneurs through leveling up in their business by unveiling their authentic selves, discovering their purpose, increasing their self-confidence, and destroying self-defeating obstacles. This, in turn, helps women to not only reach, but crush their goals and pull their vision towards them in a massive way. Today, she offers a range of programs and services from individual and group coaching to webinars, summits, and as an international podcast host. You'll often find her linking arms and strategizing with women entrepreneurs around the world while empowering them to go be great. Welcome, Karena. It is just delightful to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here with you.
Well, I'll tell you, we are delighted. I always like to know that, we're dealing with somebody who's a mindset specialist and a life coach, because that's a part of who we are all about and what we're all about with living regret-free. So let's ask you a very deep question to begin with. How do you define purpose?
Oh, great question. I define purpose as that nagging, unrelenting feeling that you have more to do in life than probably what you're doing right now.
Well, that's probably true for most of us, right? We think we're doing all we can, and then we find we can go even a little bit more. So if you're doing this, if you found your purpose, and if you're doing what inspires you, how do you show up as your best self? Because I think some of us think we're showing up that way, but there are probably people in our lives who say, you're not.
This is a really great question, and I approach this in a very different way. I believe. I really don't think we should be showing up as our best self. So there's this whole idea that we show up as our best self or the best version of ourselves. And I have to be honest, I feel like if an individual shows up as their best self today or the best version of themselves today, that best version very well could have expired yesterday. So I'm a huge proponent for showing up as your authentic self.
Yeah, authenticity is such a big word today, and I wonder how many of us. Well, I wonder how many of the people you work with, Karena, show up as their authentic selves to begin with, or do you have to dig deep to find it? Because it's such a misused word today, authenticity and being authentic. And we hear about the people who are one way in front of an audience and one way behind the scenes. So what do you find? Do you find that people do present themselves as their best self, or do you find that you've got to work with them a great deal to have that happen?
I really do believe we have to work and dig deep, as you said, to really find out who our authentic selves, who we are authentically. And like you said, people are showing up in different avenues, in different platforms as different people. But when I think of authenticity, I think of you showing up exactly who you were designed to be, who you were meant to be without all of the layers and gunk. I like to call it the contamination of the world.
Well, you know, as we record this, we're recording this the day after the Oscars. And one of the things that I was really impressed with was the Jean Hersholt Award to Tyler Perry, because it talked about all the deeds that he's done for people that you never really have heard about. I mean, the fact that he kept people employed for the full year during the pandemic, and he fed them, and he made sure they were taken care of. That's an authentic person. And he credits his mom, and I credit my mom. In fact, you'll find this kind of interesting. I have a new cleaning person, and she and I were having lunch over the weekend, and she said to me, "Do you know you and one other person are the only people who give me lunch?" And I said, "You're kidding." And, you know, that's a feat for me because I don't cook. I'm the most undomesticated person you'd ever want to meet, but I can make a sandwich. And so I said to her, "You're kidding." And she said, "No." She said, "It's like if I even ask them for a little nibble, it's like I'm asking them for the moon." I said, "Well, it just shows you how they were raised, because that's just how I was raised. My mom always included whoever was working for us for lunch. I mean, that's just what was. So, in fact, they were even invited to all of our family events. So I guess I would ask you, Karena, what inspires you?
Another really great question. You know, what inspires me is really life, and not, and I wouldn't say the world's definition of authenticity, as you alluded. That's a big word now, but being authentic to ourselves, those around us, as you even said, and being authentic to our purpose. And that's really what inspires me. That's what keeps me going.
Well, that's a good purpose right there. So what inspired you to become a life coach? And I love the fact that when I introduced you, you said you're doing life with your best friend and husband. What inspired you to become a life coach?
Because I needed someone to help. Well, I needed someone to help me. So I wanted to be that for other women. And before, when I really started out coaching, I was a financial coach. And I got so frustrated, Dr. Gill, because I realized as a financial coach, I knew what I was doing. I had all of this experience, but where I became frustrated constantly every single day was really having to dig deep and work with people in their mindset and in their life. And so I transitioned over into being a life coach, a mindset coach, so that I could really make that true impact that I knew I needed to be making, because it was important for me. It was important that I help people transition along the way they're supposed to, the way they really want to, honestly.
So you discovered a whole lot about yourself as well while you were going through this journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I sure did.
So did you have any life-changing experiences that put you on this path other than, you know, the financial piece? Tell us about those if there were more than that.
Absolutely. I started going through, I was in the mortgage industry, and I started out as the low person on the totem pole. I did not have a college degree. And for years, I thought that because I did not have a college degree, I would not be able to move up in the ranks. I tried to go to college. I'm a three-time college dropout and continuously tried. I tried, but could not seem to get it going, and eventually found myself after many years in the mortgage industry in the role of an assistant vice president of a corporation where everyone around me had degrees and had this great education. And so that was a wake up call for me, because before that I kept telling myself, you're not going to be able to do this, you can't do this. But every single day I was able to crush those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs. And I said, if I have gone through this, there has to be other people that are going through this same exact thing, but they're actually allowing those thoughts to hinder them.
So true. You know, you mentioned the words limiting beliefs. There are so many people who do have limiting beliefs because they don't have a college education, or because they don't have any money, or because they don't live in the right part of town, or because they don't live in a big town, or they live in a small town, or whatever the excuse happens to be. But, you know, it's, I can see that you are excited and passionate about what you do. So what gives you the most excitement in both business and life, Karena? I can see that, I mean, I'm going to surmise that you're excited about your business life because you're making such an impact in women's lives. But, you know, there's got to be more than that as well.
Honestly, Dr. Gail, I get up in the morning. I have historically not been a morning person, but I get up once I found my purpose and really understood it and began to make impact. I get up every morning excited, ready to go without an alarm clock. I go to bed at night and have to force myself to go to sleep, close my eyes and go to sleep because I have literally found my purpose. And when you find your purpose, a lot of times you don't need a lot of the outside motivations and different things like that to push you along. You're just going. You're just going, and I know it sounds really cheesy, but it is so true, and that is what inspires me. I want other people to feel exactly what I feel and not just be on this hamster wheel of life chasing a dream that very well may not be theirs. So
It's so
that's
funny.
what
It's so
pushes
funny
me.
you say that, Karena, because I have all these mugs and coffee cups that I sell in my store, you know, my online store, and the coffee cup that I have on my desk is "Don't chase your dream, live your dream." So it's funny, you know, that you mentioned
Yes.
that because it's true. Live your dream. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it just hit my funny bone when you said that.
No, I agree 100%. Listen, Dr. Gail, I believe that we should not be chasing a dream because I tell people it's probably not yours if you're chasing it. Your purpose is right there in front of you. You shouldn't have to chase a dream.
Well, you know, the other thing though, also, Karena, is that you grow. I mean,
Yeah.
as you age, as you experience more and more, you grow, and there'll be things you outgrow, and there are things that you will grow into. So, what would you say is your most driving motivation to keep doing what you do? Is it the results that you're getting for your women? Is it the fact that uh, you know it's answering a call that you have? Is it the fact that you know you're having such an impact? What is the driving motivation for you to get up and say, okay, I don't need an alarm clock anymore. I am ready to do my deeds during the day. What is it for you?
I think truly it's the fact that I have become married to my purpose. I understand it fully now. That is the driving motivation for me.
Interesting, interesting that you found your purpose, you're married to your purpose, and you're also married to your best friend, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I felt like that with my hubby. We were married for 45 years before he passed away, and I've never even dated since he passed away. And people say, "How come?" Because he used to say, "Oh, Gail will be married within 5 minutes," you know, and that's not the case at all. I enjoy male company, but I don't need anyone in my life to complete it or anything like that. So it's interesting. But you also mentioned legacy, and I have to
Mhm.
tell you, I started talking about legacy about 2, 3 years ago. And now I'm all about living a life of legacy.
Mhm.
And since I have been open about that, it seems like all these people keep coming into my life talking about legacy.
Mm.
So I don't know if it's something that has just caught on or if it's something that I'm putting out all those vibrations. But what do you want your legacy to be? And I would think, Karena, that you're too young to really want a legacy yet. But I have to tell you, I was talking about this in a group, and I was surprised that the women in the group who were talking about legacy were only 45 years of age. I thought they were going to be more like 60 or 70, but they were 45. So what do you see your legacy as being?
That is very interesting. And I would say I am already thinking about legacy. I'm over 45, not 60 yet, but I believe I have already started really honing in on my legacy because tomorrow honestly is not promised. And so I'm always looking to see what can I leave the next generation? What can I leave my daughter's 23? And so what I would like to leave as a legacy is the knowledge and the information and the strategies of being your authentic self. Listen, we've gone through so many different things. Women, period, have gone through so many different things throughout our lives. And those things have the potential to hold us back. But I want us to be able to celebrate freedom and pass that along to the next generation. So that would be my legacy, the information, the knowledge, and the strategies to be your true authentic self and live your purpose. That way, we're all linking arms and doing everything that we need to do together as a community of the world, not just, your own city or your own family.
But it's interesting that you say you want to do that, and especially for your daughter. And as people who are listeners of mine know, I'm always quoting my mom, who was, to me, my biggest mentor. And, we don't realize, maybe we do, but we don't always realize the effect that we're having on our children.
Mm-hmm.
And not only our daughters, but the sons that we raise as well.
Mm-hmm.
If a son has a strong mother, he is going to treat women pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And if he has a mother that is not very strong or is easily manipulated, he may also manipulate women as well. So I think your legacy of leaving, something, a legacy for your daughter is very, very right on target because it's what it's all about. So what would you say is next for you, for your business, for your brand, for where you want to go? What does Karena have in her future?
Great question, Dr. Gill. I want to be able to, once the world is better at traveling, I want to be able to travel to meet different women around the world and bring this impact, bring this knowledge, these keys, these strategies to women around the world. There are women I know that are dealing with certain things behind closed doors, and I want to be able to get to them. I want to be able to get to them in person. I love hugging, and I'm ready to get back to that. So the next thing for me is to get out there and really get in front of people in person.
It's so funny you mentioned hugging. I'm a partial hugger. I like to hug, not all the time, but I do like to hug. And yet there are people who don't want you to touch them. And I'm not talking about because of the pandemic. I'm talking pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are just people who don't want you to hug them. And I remember in the seminars that we used to do, that if you, they used to do this exercise. Everybody turn to the person to your side and put your hands on their shoulders and give them a little massage. And then it became a no-no. Don't touch the person in front of you. That was a no-no. Now it's back to, yes, it's okay if you touch people. So how do you find that people react to your hugs?
Well, I ask permission first, and I can say that I've never had anyone reject me. I've never.
But
Now that
isn't
I
that
think
the
about
way
it,
but Karena, isn't that the way you approach them as well? I mean, you approach them in such a warm, friendly manner. I mean, they would never even think of rejecting you.
absolutely, absolutely. I don't force myself on anyone, but I want them to know and feel and understand the love that I have, even if I've just met them 5 minutes ago. You are loved, and that's a part of me being my authentic self.
Well, that's true. I think that's very true. So when you hear, and of course, there are, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you didn't hear about life coaches. In fact, coaching was not even something that was talked about that much. Now, there are so many people who call themselves life coaches, how do you differentiate yourself from other life coaches or people who call themselves a life coach? Because you know yourself that there are a lot of life coaches out there. So how do you separate yourself from them?
I really allow myself to, again, going back to being authentic, I will allow myself to be authentic. I am, believe it or not, an extreme introvert, but I absolutely positively love people. And I want to see them advancing in their lives. And so my approach is that of genuineness. And so I feel like that is what sets me apart. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that other life coaches are not genuine, but I do know that I have that authenticity that exudes from me. So I think that's really what sets me apart.
Interesting. That goes back to that authenticity, which is so important. So, I know that you've got an ebook that you want to offer to our listeners called Purposeful Flow, Being in Flow to Pull Your Vision to You, a practical guide. So tell people how they can get that, where they need to go to find that, where they can find you, the best way to reach you, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've made it extremely simple. You can go to Linktree /Coach Karena, and you can find out all about me. Any of my social media handles, you can find me there. And you can also grab the ebook and pick that up there. And you can use the code Be Productive, and you can get that for free. I want to offer that to everyone listening. Be Productive, all lowercase, one word, and grab that ebook for free.
And that ebook is called Being in Flow to Pull Your Vision to You, a practical guide. And so the best place to reach you is through Linktree, or do you have a different website?
Everything is on the Linktree. My overall website is under construction, and so I have everything on my Linktree /Coach Karena, but my website is warcry.com. But go to
And
Linktree.
by the way, you spelled Karena, Karena. I know some people spell it with an I. Karena spells it with an E. So Coach Karena, Karena. Very, very important.
Yes.
Very important. Yeah. So when we talk about, where you are and what you're doing and what's happening, where would you say you see yourself in 5 years, Karena? What do you see happening in 5 years?
I see myself in 5 years having impacted hundreds of women and being a part of not necessarily a network, but a group of women who are what I like to call in a domino effect in reverse. And dominoes, when one lays down, the other lays down. What I would like to see is those dominoes, us women, one lifts up and they lift another, and then they lift another and they lift another. That's what I would like to see on a large scale basis 5 years from now.
So you really want to start a movement?
I do. I absolutely do. I'm not looking, listen, whatever we're doing, we can get clients. That's a no-brainer. I want people actually just transformed, really transformed in their lives. That is really what I want to see. I believe the world would be so much sweeter, so much kinder when we are really truly our authentic selves and living our purpose.
Well, it's like when they say to me, what do you really want out of life? And I say, I know this sounds like a queen's answer, but I really do want world peace.
Yes.
And I just, I don't understand why people have to argue all the time about everything. And that there are parts of the world that are never going to see peace, Karena. It's just not in their nature to do so. And there are people who always want power, and if you want power, you're not going to have peace because you're always going to be jockeying for position. So I commend you for that. So, folks, if you are looking to find Karena, because you can see that she's very valuable, she has some wonderful information for you, go to Linktree. I am assuming, is it linktree.com, Karena?
It is Linktree /Coach Karena.
Okay, so no .com on the end of Linktree.
Correct.
And it's LINKTREE, just like it sounds, Linktree /Coach Karena with an E. Is there
Correct.
anything else that you would like to tell our listeners? We have about a minute left, and I know that there may be something that we haven't covered that you want them to know.
I would say on your journey to really unveiling your authentic self, remember that everyone is not going to be comfortable with you being your authentic self, but keep going, keep pushing, keep pressing, because those of us that need you to be your authentic self, we're waiting on you. And that's what I would leave Dr. Gill.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Karena. It has been an absolute pleasure having you with us today, and I welcome you on the journey for all women. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.